Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Samuel Adams Returns Those Anti-Federalists. They absolutely got it right. This is Tom Navolis, your host, and we are really, because it's a we have with us today Jeremiah Martin on the phone from Forge Institute. We have Adam Retych, one of my good buddies that shows up all the time. Welcome, Adam.
Tom, good to be
And he's a graduate of Forge Institute. And what we're going to be talking about today is leadership and what's happened in our world. And as we're seeing it, is the lack of overall leadership, not only in the political realm, but we're seeing it in the churches, we're seeing it in the families, we're seeing it in all aspects of society, to the extent that we're in pain as a nation. And we're seeing all of the various issues that we've been talking about on this program for a good number of years. So with that, I would like again to welcome Jeremiah Martin. Jeremiah, are you there?
Hello, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a delight and an honor. Jeremiah and I met several years ago at a different event. And we just kind of made some kind of a nice connection and had some good interactions. And then folks know that I've met Adam over the last couple of years when we were trying to do some political science stuff. And man, he's been just rolling down the road. And then with you guys. So Adam, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, Tom, especially in light of everything that's going on. It's really a wake-up call in many areas.
Yeah.
If anything, a conservative revival of thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just excited to be with you today, talking about something that has been very near and dear to me for the past 2 years, actually. And so
right.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, excellent. So Jeremiah, why don't you give us a little bit of your background, and then we'll jump in a little bit more on what Forge is, who it is, what it is, how it started, and then over the course of these next several segments, try and talk about what the opportunities are for folks. But I know when I first met you, you were just home from deployment. So you're former military, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So I'm an Army veteran currently serving in the Army Reserves. I've got a combined 10 years of military service, including 2 tours overseas, one to Jordan in 2012, and then most recently one to Iraq in 2017.
Yeah, and I think that's when we first connected, is when you came back from the sandbox like that. So
correct.
Thank you for your service. It's always a delight to have another veteran on board. And I know that there's a lot of folks out there that are. And one of my favorite fans is my 92-year-old dad. He's an Army veteran as well, Korean era. So that's always wonderful. But that builds leadership as well. So how did you, because when we first met, you weren't with Forge. How did you go from what you were doing over to Forge? And tell us, give us that first, a 5,000-foot view of that transition, and then we'll step into what Forge is about.
Sure, absolutely. So in addition to being an Army veteran and serving in the reserves, I've been involved in politics and public policy since about 2012, and worked with several different organizations. First, a veterans organization that did public policy, and coming from a conservative standpoint, how can we better serve our veterans, give them world-class health care, and then I went on to work for Citizens for Community Values, which is Ohio's family public policy organization here in Ohio, working on pro-life, pro-family issues, and advocating freedom policies and pro-family policies on the local level, throughout the state. And I actually attended the inaugural Forge Leadership Summit back in 2015. So when Forge Leadership Network was first starting off, I got connected to the founders, Adam Josephic and Justin Powell, and and attended the inaugural Forge Leadership Summit and became an alumni of the program, went through their year-long mentorship academy, and it really helped propel my career and help me make connections and networks that ultimately, helped develop my career and where I wanted to be. And so at the end of 2018, when I was offered a position at Forge, and Forge was expanding and looking to hire again, I jumped on the chance. It was an opportunity to give back to an organization that's done so much for me over the years. And so I've went from participant to alumni to volunteer and now to staff. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of the organization.
Man, that's fantastic. I just think that it's wonderful that you're able to be there, from square one, and then follow it through, and then have the opportunity to move into a leadership position. And what is it that you do there at Forge Institute?
So at Forge Leadership Network, I am the chief operating officer, and so I handle all of the operations and I'm the kind of the systems and processes guy, as well as heading up our student recruitment. And so, of course, we recruit from students ages 18 to 25. Ultimately, our mission is to mentor, train, and connect young conservatives, equipping them to lead in politics, culture, and business. And so we do that through our leadership summit, which is a 5-day leadership intensive training that happens every July in Columbus, Ohio. And then that follows through right into a year-long mentorship academy where we continue the professional development. We pair students with one-on-one mentors and ultimately connect them to jobs and internships and establish connections to launch their careers. And so, earlier you mentioned, kind of this void of leadership that we see right now, and that is really the vision and mission of Forge, is understanding that historically there has been a void of leadership, but understanding that we cannot reap that which we do not sow. It's a biblical concept. Right. And so as a conservative movement, if we really want to propel the ideas of conservatism, propel the ideas of the founding of this country into the 21st century, we need to be doing that right now. We need to be starting the process of training and mentoring, educating and launching the next generation of conservative leaders. But we have to start now so that 5, 10, 20 years down the road, we have that leadership kind of network, that farm system, so to speak, that's been built up over time. And that's kind of the lifeblood of what Forge Leadership Network is.
And I'm really excited about that, and being so true. And Adam and I have talked about this a number of different times, is that over the course of the many years that I've been involved in the political arena, which I couldn't become involved until I left the military in the early 80s. But I saw there what that transition would be from even there within that whole context of military leadership and the civilian oversight of it, because of the different programs that I was involved with. And then when I got out, I'm sitting there going, well, what's happening in our schools? What's happening in our, political environment? Because I jumped in and got involved politically, and I saw nowhere, especially in the Republican Party, that we were doing any candidate development, whereas I saw that on the Democrat side, that they were really good at that. They were looking at students coming out of high school and college, and they were taking and looking at different either educators or business people or others that they could draw into that political realm. So let's see, help me with the math here. So I was seeing that in 1984 is when I got out of the military, and we're at what, 2020? And Forge didn't come into being until 15?
2015, correct.
Yeah, and so, wow, what's the math on that one? I mean, we're behind, guys. We're behind. So, based on your initial experience here, Adam, how did you get to Forge in the first place? I mean, you and I were kind of doing a couple different things, and it was fun. You were picking at my brain, thankfully. And then all of a sudden this opportunity came up and you said, hey, Tom, what about this?
Well, it was that first initial year in 2015 that Sarah Fowler,
Ah,
um,
very good.
who currently and then, was a board member of the Ohio State Board of Education, came to
Right.
me during a field trip, um, and told me about this thing that she had heard about,
Mm-hmm.
um, focusing on raising up the next generation of conservatives and young professionals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was 16 at the time, and and you have to be 18. The program is designed for 18 to 25-year-olds, and I was reminded of it again, during my 18th birthday, around the same time, 3 years later, um, or she had just mentioned, hey, did you check it out? And I said, well, I forgot, but I promise I'll look into it.
Yeah.
And so I did, and I got into Summit per her
Mhm.
recommendation, and that was how I got associated with Forge.
Awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. And the rest is history, and we'll talk about more because I think we're down 3 minutes, Kat. Yeah, so we're in the 3.5 minutes. So Sarah, now, Jeremiah, do you know Sarah as well?
Yeah, Sarah and I have known each other for a long time before I was even connected to Forge. But yeah, ever since Forge was created, she's been a great supporter, and helping us spread the word for sure.
Yeah, excellent. So that, what a fabulous connection because, Sarah's done a great job for all of conservatism, however, tongue-tied here, for the conservative movement within the state of Ohio, especially in the Board of Education where she's been. Now she's terming out, and now she's running for the state legislature, and that's pretty exciting to see how that'll work out for her. And to bring people together, to have those connections or relationships, and where that can go and facilitate. So in the last minute and a half, because I'll close it out. We got what, 2 minutes about? 2.5. Give me about a good minute, Jeremiah, on what's happening at Forge today and what you got coming up at the end of the month.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have our annual Forge Leadership Summit, which occurs every July. This year, the dates are July 21st through 25th. We're incredibly blessed that even through the craziness that has been the last few months, we are able to hold an in-person event in Columbus, Ohio. And so, the Forge Leadership Summit, July 21st through 25th, it's a 5-day intensive trainings filled with dynamic trainings, professional development, renowned speakers, and accepted students represent talented conservative students and young professionals ages 18 to 25 coming from all across America, and even coming from different career fields, but all wanting to engage in politics, culture, and business and make a difference in the marketplace. And that's what we're going to do at the end of the month, July 21st through 25th.
Good. We're going to keep promoting that, as we go into the next couple of segments as well. And Adam, you said that was pretty intense for you?
Yeah, it was a wake up call. Let's just say I walked away with a larger vocabulary and a larger book list to read.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
great.
yeah.
Excellent. So one of the things, Jeremiah, as you well know, is that my my alter ego is Sam Adams, and he was absolutely, as not only the last Puritan, but as you know, he's the father of the Revolution. He was a prolific reader. He understood multiple languages. He was very profound when it came to trying to promote education, and that we would inculcate the core principles of life from a biblical perspective as well as from that political perspective into our youth so that we would have primary citizens that would be capable of doing everything that we're talking about, leading in their homes, leading in their churches, leading in their families, and then ultimately being able to lead within the political arena. So as I always say as we close out the segment is that Samuel Adams, he's returning And yes, those anti-federalists, they got it right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second segment of Samuel Adams Returns. Those anti-federalists, they did. They absolutely got it right. And I'm so happy that you're here at Liberty Works Radio Network and all of those folks throughout the LWRN market. I sure am delighted that you are joining this particular program today and that what we're able to do is bring you a great program that is going to be touching on that leadership that has been a void and everybody out there is clattering about, but here's a group that is doing something about it. But before we jump over to my two guests, my in-studio guest is Adam, who you've those that watch the YouTube channel and that have seen before and have heard before, and my other guest is Jeremiah Martin. I want you to take the time to go find that button. Please go find that donate button and donate to Liberty Works Radio Network. It is a listener-funded network, and I absolutely appreciate all of those that continue to contribute to this network. And now we're going to jump right back with Jeremiah. Are you still on the line there?
I'm here. Thanks for having me, Tom.
Oh, outstanding. Delighted that you're here. So as we closed out the last segment, what we were talking about is the leadership, the summit that's coming up here at the end of the month, and I'll have you keep promoting that as we close out each segment here. Adam said a little bit about how intense that was, and one of the things that I really caught, and I want you to expound on a little bit more, Jeremiah, for me, is that this is now a national environment. And so, what uh, I gather is that you've had the opportunity to grow from 2015. Did the program start here in Ohio? And I mean, within 5 years, you guys are seeming to do pretty darn good. Help me with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So Forge Leadership Network was founded at the end of 2014. So been around over 5 years now. This will be our sixth Forge Leadership Summit coming up July 21st through 25th. And when Forge was founded, Adam Josephic, our president and founder of the organization, he realized that there was a void, that there was a need here for not just trainings, not just one-off trainings, not just another conference, but an opportunity to train and mentor and ultimately have this long-term networking relationship with young conservatives and deploy them out into the marketplace, connect them to jobs and internships. And so there was a need there. So started right here out of Dayton, Ohio. And the original vision was just, we'll probably get some people from nearby states. It's probably going to be predominantly from Ohio. But before long, we were getting applications from all over the country, and people. There was a need for this. There was a desire for this level of training and mentoring and long-term networking. And so we started getting applications from California and from Florida and from Maine and just all over the country, and just realizing that, okay, this is a bigger need than just young conservatives in Ohio, but there's a need across the country for this level of training and mentoring. And so this past year in 2019, we had over 80 young conservatives join us for last year's Forge Leadership Summit. We had 80 students, and that they all represented over 25 different states. And so half the country was represented just in those 80 students. And so we've got a heavy presence in the Midwest, but we're drawing from all over the country, and it's becoming a movement. It's becoming this national understanding of we need more training and mentoring. We need to have this farm system for the conservative movement.
Yeah, so true, so true. So with that, Adam, what was your year at Forge like? I mean, so you went down there, you got this new vocabulary, you came out with a reading list, and what made that final hook for you to want to participate, and what was that first year like?
Well, Forge strives to be the impetus of conservative professionals. It strives to kind of be that um, the guide, guiding them into politics, into business, into culture, and it does that through encouraging them, equipping them, and then teaching them how to engage while engaging them too. So, and as Jeremiah touched on, there's a learning experience, a training experience, but also it's unique connecting experience too. And so while I was there at the summit, which was the first step in the Forge process, it, it was our learning experience involved lectures in policy making, advocacy from many different speakers, talking on ethics, how to form a conservative argument and defend that argument, along with how to network effectively. And so it's very much a networking, sort of thing too. Just the summit, the first initial step. As for the training, which really came into play when I started working with Sarah the subsequent summer, was the mock elections and the mock legislation simulations. Matt Betzel with American Majority trained the 80 students in basically forming a campaign, learning how to formulate an the internal organization, and even the external appearance and all the things in between to learn how to win and how to promote your cause and your candidate. As for the mock legislation, it was a wonderful time,
Sure.
debating and drafting bills, and so which is something that I really found useful in the year going into the academy, and then helping Sarah after, and as an alumnus in the following summer.
So that was jumping right into the campaign. And Jeremiah, with that, like, who are some of the key people that, not just at the summit, but those that, how do you match up your mentorship program? What does that mean for the students, and how do you go through that process?
Yeah, definitely. So the Forge Leadership Summit, it's 5 days of training and workshops and renowned speakers, but that's just the beginning of the program. And so of those 80 students that we had last year, we accept a limited amount of those into our year-long mentorship academy. And so about 40 of those, about half of those students were accepted into the year-long mentorship academy, which includes additional professional development trips, one to Washington, D.C. For 5 days, and then one to Israel for 10 days. And so we provide them with kind of this expanding experience, expanding their horizons, and understanding public policy from a state and local level in Columbus to a federal level in D.C., to an international, talking about foreign policy, talking about the complex geopolitical, nature of, the Middle East, and understanding that, going to Israel and understanding the historic roots of our faith even. Yeah. And so we kind of have this expanding program, expanding their horizons. And then in that year, we also pair them with a one-on-one mentor. And so we try our best to match them geographically, if possible. But with today's technology, it's not always necessary. So sometimes the mentors come from across the country. But the idea is where they want to be in their particular field of study, 5, 10, even 20 years down the road. We pair them with a mentor that's just a perfect match for them, that can help them understand the issues that they might encounter, overcome the hurdles in their particular career field. And so if they want to be a constitutional lawyer, we'll pair them with a constitutional lawyer that's 20 years their senior, that is able to help them fill the overcome the hurdles of that particular job, that particular career field. But if they want to be a chief of staff of a congressman, we'll do our best to connect them to a chief of staff of a congressman. So it's a real tailored experience, that it's not just general principles or general ideals, but as we go through the program, it gets more and more specific to their particular career field. And we have students from all walks of life and all different career fields that come. We've had people that are involved in arts and media, journalism, politics, public policy, law, even Christian ministry, youth pastors and pastors that go through our program understanding. We want to understand the political side of it, but understand how these ideals that we believe in, how they apply in a 21st century context, and how we can adequately apply them into whatever career field we're going into. And so we pair them with a one-on-one mentor to help them do that and to help them overcome any issues that they might come across in their particular field of study.
Yeah, that's excellent, because I think that, as we talked about in the first segment, just the broad reach into where we are in society in general. And I know that, Adam, you've kind of changed a little bit on the career field that you were going to, when we first met, you were going into architecture. What's some of what you're looking at doing now, and was Forge influential in kind of moving you, prayerfully through a potential different direction?
Right. And the mentorship was a part of that. The academy was a part of that. The summit was a part of that. I intentionally used the word guide. It helped guide me, through those processes, just from the people that I met, the things that I read, and even the places that I went, going to DC. Specifically, going into the mentor, I was paired with Matt Rawlings, who's a pastor, who had experience as a corporate litigator, and he's a scholar too. And so we went through economics, which was an interest at the time, and we went through some of the counter arguments, the counter economics arguments to conservatism, and he basically said that you need to be knowledgeable.
Yes.
And so, in one of the themes was politics is just downstream from economics and economic trends in so many ways, and that really fascinated me. And so currently, I'm this fall going to be attending Boyce, enrolled in their politics, philosophy, and economics course with that in mind.
Yeah, that's excellent. Boy, see, what a great thing there, Jeremiah. As that works out, and with I'm sure with many of the other students that you've seen, and we'll be able to pick it up because we're down to our last 2 minutes. But is that something that you've seen just in the next 1 minute? Give me that. Is Adam atypical, or is he, what you see with a lot of the students coming in one direction and potentially making some shifts?
Yeah, one thing we see, over and over again is students come into the program not really knowing 100% what to expect. And so someone might be wanting to be an entrepreneur or go into business, or they might want to go into law, and they might not really, they might not really think that politics is all that important. Because there's a good chunk of our students that aren't specifically wanting to go into politics. It's politics, it's culture, it's business, it's law, it's arts, it's journalism. And so one of the biggest things that I'm proud of the program is seeing people understand and make the connection between politics and their career. Why does it matter? There's the saying that you might not care about politics, but politics cares about you. And there's so many students that go through the program and really understand that, or they're passionate about the pro-life issue, but from a career perspective, they're wanting to go into law, or they're passionate about pro-life issue, but they're wanting to go into media or communications. And one of the things I love seeing over and over again is when students make that connection of, oh wow, there's opportunities to get involved in the pro-life issue, or in the Second Amendment, or advocating for issues that I really care about, even if I'm not a state representative, or even if I'm not wanting to specifically be an elected official, and making those connections that, oh, wow, I can be involved in these organizations and be, a communications or even an accountant. Nonprofits, organizations need accountants as well.
Yeah,
and so
we're gonna
making
pick
those
that
connections.
up. It's also as we get into the third segment, because having been a corporate executive, I can very clearly tell you what it is like from a corporate political position. Sam Adams knew it from all different aspects, and all the various anti-federalists did as well. So when we look at all of the players at the foundation and nation, we can now bring that to the light as we move into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this third segment of Samuel Adams Returns Those Anti-Federalists. Boy, aren't we learning? Not only did they get it right, but what we're seeing is that they were saying, get inculcated, learn how to be leaders. And we're talking about that today. And I want to welcome back everybody in this segment from, my Screaming Eagle friends down there with Dr. Mike Spalding and Kathy Spalding on Soaring Eagle Radio. Just so delighted that you guys keep having me as a partner on the network. And I want to remind everybody that coming up here on July 23rd is the Go Therefore Conference. It's all going to be virtual this year. And you're seeing where the website is at the bottom of the video. And you can listen to the promo for that at the end of the video as well as at the end of the podcast. And yes, that is for sure. I will be one of the speakers at that conference. So I'm delighted about that. And I'm going to give you, now that we're getting closer, a heads up that my topic is going to be an 1864 book, because the essence of the conference is What Now Church? And as we're talking about that today, even as you heard Jeremiah in the last segment and Adam speaking, that leadership is critical. So it's leadership. But my topic is taking people into the past a bit. And that 1864 book by J.T. Headley is titled The Chaplains and Clergy of the Revolution. So I'm going to be highlighting some of those gentlemen that were profound leaders of the church that made the revolution move forward. So I invite you to join us on July 23rd through the 25th for that conference, the Go Therefore Conference. And with that, we're going to jump right back here. Jeremiah, I kind of cut you off at the end of the last segment, and we were talking about students either taking and enhancing their thoughts into the careers that they're going to pursue, or similar to Adam, they're all of a sudden getting their eyes opened up and they're going, there's so much more, because as I mentioned at the end of the segment, politics is everywhere. And I think that's where people misunderstand. It's all about relationships. It's all about governance and how we either govern ourselves, we govern within our homes, in our families, and how that works within our jobs. So when we look at people trying to position themselves, trying to take in, formulate policy, trying to bring justice into those environments, workplace, school, family, church, Jesus, sounds like Forge has got a pretty good handle on that broad spectrum.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Our mission is to mentor, train, and connect young conservatives, equipping them to lead in politics, culture, and business. And so we recruit conservative students and young professionals ages 18 to 25 that want to lead in politics, culture, and business. There's a lot of students and young professionals that want to be engaged in the marketplace somehow. They want to make a difference, but the question that they keep on coming back to is, what next? How do I do this? Where can I go? What connections do I need? What networks do I need? I don't even know where to start. And so through our leadership summit and our Mentorship Academy, we help equip students to think about their vocation, whatever that is, think about their vocation critically, examine public policy and ethics from a Judeo-Christian worldview, and gain practical skills for cultural engagement to ultimately establish connections and launch their careers. And so regardless of their career path, we want to connect them to mentors and training, and ultimately connect them to the best jobs and internships to be the farm system for the conservative movement.
Excellent. I love it. You're an answer to prayer, for myself for all these many years. If we go back to the first segment and try to do the math on that one, but with that, yeah, it's amazing. Adam, so what we're seeing, and with that, the development that's there, and I know because of your family background, having to have a little knowledge of your parents and how you were homeschooled, and that, how is this also with Forge been helping you as you're looking at the challenges that are out there from school? Conservatives aren't loved out there, Christians even less. So as we're talking about the cultural business, even the educational challenges, what has Forge done for you in that arena that has built upon what your family has done and giving you some more of that capacity to engage within all of those spheres that are coming at you with hammers and sickles? And that's not a pun. That's literal.
Yeah, right. And the short answer is a 5-year trajectory.
Okay.
Justin Powell, really an incredible man and co-founder of the Forge Leadership Network, encouraged all the students and me one-on-one to form a 5-year plan, which was something that before the Forge Academy, I really didn't have. And so walking out of the summit and now the academy and learning to think deeply on many things, and having a team, and a group behind me, and with, I guess, just career opportunities ahead of me, and a knowledge of the options that Forge shared with me and got me connected with. I'm able to know how to best equip myself for the sickles and the pitchforks. Not that I was trying to avoid them. It's kind of an inevitability.
Right.
It's just
absolutely.
how you're going to set yourself up so that you can have an answer for that. And Forge gave me that answer.
Excellent. Yeah, because I think, in Jeremiah, as we look at that really is the conundrum for a lot of youth, even as they go into high school. They're sitting in there, and those were one of the reasons that I had taken and looked at doing something else a few years ago in that same vein of how do you take and bring students into that ability to take and meet those challenges head on, especially from that high school and then onward. So I'm absolutely, again, delighted that you guys are being so successful in doing that. But what else can you give us a quick note on in relationship to that? I mean, you're doing great, but a little bit more on that preparation for these students, because, man, I mean, we're really not what's just happening in the streets, but based on where you're trying to get your education, you're in a pickle.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got our 2020 Forge Leadership Summit coming up in just a couple weeks, July 21st through 25th, and that's the starting point of our program. It's a 5-day intensive filled with dynamic trainings, professional development, and renowned speakers. So we bring in students ages 18 to 25 from all across America, from different career paths, and then help them, train them, mentor them, and network with them. One of the things that we hear over and over again is, students, especially if they don't come from a red state, if they come from a deep blue state. Just a couple years ago, we had a student from California, and she's like, I'm a conservative millennial, and I was starting to feel like there was no one else out there like me.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that we have to offer is to get a group of like-minded, students and young professionals together that even where they differ on career goals and career paths, have an opportunity. We share a common vision for America, and we all want to make a difference, and we all want to be engaged in the marketplace, to be engaged in politics, culture, or business. And at Forge, we help them develop those skills through media training, through legislative simulation, through campaign simulations and trainings, and help them develop their message, help them learn how to network, help them how to build connections, and ultimately we help them make connections and networks to help launch their careers.
Excellent. Yeah, again, I'm glad you're re-emphasizing that, because I think that it's just critical. We're down to our last 5 minutes. I wish we could go on some more, but I think that within this time frame, what we're seeing and what you're experiencing, Jeremiah, is that what's the growth of Forge? I mean, I keep hearing you're pretty focused on the 80 students. How do you see yourself in a 5-year growth pattern? I'm picking up on your 5 years, Adam. So within that 5-year growth pattern, is there going to be more students that Forge is going to be able to accommodate? How is your mentorship program growing? What do you guys need from all of the folks that are going to be hearing this program? What does Forge need from them, from the listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate that question. Every single year since our first leadership summit in 2015, our numbers have grown. And so we've been able to serve even more students and young professionals, starting with 35 students in our first year, all the way up to 80 students last year. Now, this year's a unique year. Our goal was to originally expand into Indiana, and we had that all set up to have a second Forge Leadership Summit. For the first time, we were going to hold 2 Forge Leadership Summits that were kind of mirror tracks, that whether you went to the Ohio Summit or the Indiana Summit, you had the same experience. But unfortunately, because of all the craziness and this little thing called the global pandemic, we did have to cancel our Indiana Summit in May. But that's one of our next steps. And so, Lord willing, that's what next year will look like, to be able to serve even more students and engage even more students in not just Indiana, not just Ohio, but surrounding states and from all over the country, and giving them multiple opportunities to get involved. And so that's kind of our kind of mid to long term goal, is just to expand so that hopefully we can serve more students and accomplish our mission with even more young conservatives, and hopefully encouraging them and inspiring them along the way. And how your listeners can be involved in that process, if they know of any young conservatives, students, young professionals ages 18 to 25, send them to forgeleadership.org/apply. There is still time to apply for this year's summit, and even if they miss that deadline, maybe they're listening to this on podcast, a couple weeks from now. There's still opportunities to get involved, and we're hosting these events on an annual basis, and so it's never too late. But if people have friends or loved ones that are in that age range, or if you're listening right now and you're in that age range and you've been looking for something to engage with and to grow your professional networks and develop yourself personally and professionally, Forge Leadership Network is the ticket, is the right step for you. So go to forgeleadership.org. and you can learn more about our leadership summit, our mentorship academy, and the other programs that we offer.
Excellent, thank you. And for you to know that in the video, as you're saying that, the video producer will definitely put that URL in the video so that folks can see it there, and that we get the word out continuously about what you guys are doing. I want to capitalize on what you just said, though, a little bit more. I'm sure somewhere on that URL, there is something about a donate or giving. Is there something like that? Real quick, 10 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. forgeleadership.org/donate, and you can be a part of the mission and help us, fund student scholarships and get even more young conservatives through the program.
Yeah. Adam, 10 seconds here. I mean,
Yeah.
give me your.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Forge. I've gone places I never thought I would go. I've discussed things I never thought I would discuss, and I've read things I never thought I would read. And so thank you. I'm really just cheering for anyone who's on the fence about this. Go. Be changed.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, as you're listening out there, I want to thank both Jeremiah for your time today and Adam for yours and being here as always. I always enjoy having you in the studio. But most importantly, folks, this is about our future. Sam Adams always talked about our posterity. Our founders talked about our posterity. That's being stolen right now. You can give it back. Go to Forge, donate, and get your students involved. Come on back next week, and thank you.
Hi friends, Dr. Mike Spalding here to announce details of the Go Therefore 2020 conference. This year, we will be providing a powerful lineup of scholars, researchers, authors, and Bible teachers for the equipping and edification of the body of Christ. Please note that the Go Therefore 2020 conference is an online event. This will enable you to participate wherever you live. Registration is now open at www.gothereforeconference.com. The cost for this one-of-a-kind conference is only $59. The theme of this year's Go Therefore conference is What Now, Church? What lies ahead for the Church of Jesus Christ? How must we respond to the government's reaction to the coronavirus? What must Christians do to address the so-called new normal? This year, our speakers include Dr. Michael Lake of Kingdom Intelligence Briefing, Pastor Carl Gallups of Freedom Friday Radio, Pastor Casper McLeod of Spiritual Encounters Radio, Russ Dizdar of Shatter the Darkness Ministries, David Hevner, actor and film director of The Last Evangelist on davidhevner.tv, Coach Dave Daubenmeyer of Pass the Salt Ministries, Pastor Brandon Gallups of Redeemed Ministries Healing and Recovery Center, author and researcher Doug Woodward, author and researcher Carl Tykrib, author, evangelist, and director of Hand of Help Ministries Michael Bodea, author and researcher L.A. Marzulli, researcher and Bible teacher David Paxton, constitutional scholar and host of Samuel Adams Returns Tom Navolis, author and evangelist Preston Condra, Stephen Menking, senior editor and host of On the Objective and the Amateur Society podcasts, David Arthur of I Belong, Amen Ministries, film director and researcher Tom Dunn, author and director of Omega Dynamics Jamie Walden, author and editor-in-chief of Technocracy News Patrick Wood, author, pastor, and president of Chafer Seminary Dr. Andy Woods, and of course me, Dr. Mike Spalding. You may register right now at the conference website, www.gothereforeconference.com. The conference starts Friday, July 24th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and concludes Sunday, July 26th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. All registrants will have 2 full weeks to watch every presentation from this year's conference. Conference schedule is on the website, www.gothereforeconference.com. You do not want to miss this event. What now, church? God bless you.